Alright, it's Saturday, and I'm under the influence enough to make a few videos in the middle of the fucking day on Saturday. I've been working 9.5 hours. But let me get this started. What I wanted to explain to you, our conversations about the progression of poetry and what should be done. I mean, I'm a performance poet. Like I'm an open mic poet. My shit, it doesn't stand on the page by itself. My words, they're good. The meaning's there. The idea's there. But why I'm powerful when I read is because I'm there. I'm bringing you into it. It's because of my performance. Because of how I say the words. And how I pause for the words. And how there's an inflex in my voice when I want to emphasize something and I want you to hold on to it in your head without you thinking about it. It's just, it clicks and it hooks on there. And it kind of lingers for half a second longer than everything else. This is what I'm saying. You need to feel your words. I mean, when I started out reading poetry, I didn't even want to write poetry. I didn't even think I'm a poet now. I didn't know how the fuck it happened. I go on to I have a fear of reading in public, so I started going to this open mic because everyone was nice and like I didn't think I could write, but I started writing shit down and I only wrote like an hour before I went to the open mic, and then I'd read my new thing and I'd just stand up. And then people started like giving me advice and asking me questions and all this other stuff. And one of the things like I feel when I is yours is kind of like me trying to read it, me worried about how it sounds, blah blah blah. There's a voice that you do that I think I used to do as well. It's just this kind of, the words are there on the page kind of thing. Because what you want to do is you want to give them a feeling of something that they can't get from the page. They don't need you reading it for them because they could read it themselves. You understand what I'm saying? That's why if you look at my old videos, I'm not in there yet. I read them. It's only been recently have I been able to do what I do, and I try to give you advice on that. So like I'll give you an example. There's one of my most favorite poems, shortest one. One of the shortest ones was day to day. I'm gonna read it for you. I'll read it for you, pretending I'm reading it. Day to day, to this hour to hour, my soul's devoured in my demon scowl. I would run tomorrow if I'd ran today, but there's no safe place and there's no safe way. I've done it so many times that it's actually coming out, but you can hear kind of the monotone. Then there's the day to day, to this hour to hour, my soul's devoured in my demon scowl. I would run tomorrow if I'd ran today, but there's no safe place and there's no safe way. Revolutions around the sun have been begun from the days of all to the gaze of one. But then emotions, they come astir and reality blurs and love is just a word, a simple term. The days we live our lives in vain are the days that I regret all the same. Infections are misdirections that never written, they turn around leaving us bitten, now infected with the same blood, the same love, craving the same drugs, wanting the same hugs. I feel the difference when I perform it and when I read it. That's why when I do a poem now on YouTube, I memorize it to a good enough point where I know or I feel the progression of the poem and how I'm gonna feel at this point, so I could prep myself to force it or draw it back or breathe or sit in the ambiance that is around you. That's all I can tell you, dude. Feel your words. Make them yours. Because when you say them the way that they're supposed to be said in that poem, no one could get that anywhere else but you. So if you're honest with yourself and your poetry really speaks to yourself, to your heart, then you should have no problem doing what I just did. And I don't think I write good poetry. I might have one or two good lines every once in a while, but it's my performance, which is sad enough. I mean, sad to say. I'd rather be published, but I have face recognition. I don't have name recognition. I have voice recognition. Like, people know my voice and how I talk. Like, my mouse is gone. The last time I was in Houston, like, people from YouTube knew me through YouTube, and they were asking about me at my old bars and shit because I would talk about them on YouTube, and they lived in Houston. They started going to these bars, and so, like, I became like a pseudo-celebrity in my hometown, kind of, like, on a very small proportion. So much that I was like partying and hanging out with my friends, and then people would come up and say, "You'd have to do this poem for us. You have to recite it for us, please, please." And then they would open their tab for me. And it's a fucking performance. Like, fucking Hemingway or Charles Bukowski. Fuck, people hated fucking Bukowski. But he walks into a bar, unless he's like friends already there, they're not gonna like give him shit. Because there's no connection. Because there's not that emotional response or connection through the performance. Alright, I've talked long enough. Peace.